Hey, this is Max with the Guitar Center. We're here at the Winter NAMM 2026 show, and we were in the Ernie Ball Music Man with two pretty cool guys, Steve Morse and Paul Gilbert. Guys, how you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Paul, how you doing?
I'm very excited at this NAMM energy, and I'm excited because I might hit you up for a discount at Guitar Center after this.
I might know a guy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys just finished a signing down at the booth. Steve, you were just saying it's been a few years since you've been here. What's that energy feel like when you're getting so close to so many fans and all that? Obviously, a little different than at a show. You know, it's musicians. It's not just your fans.
Well, it is people that are your peers, basically from all around the world, and it's a meet and greet of your old friends that are also in the business. So you're constantly, walking. Oh, hey, I gotta go here. We gotta do this. Paul and I are getting ready to play, and oh yeah, it's great to see you, but we got to do this signing. So there's a lot of connections that are just made for just a few seconds sometimes because you see so many people, and it's there's nothing like this show in terms of the chaos that you hear when you walk on the floor.
We added to it beautifully.
You know how an orchestra, when they tune up, there's a certain sound that it is very similar when every orchestra tunes up. Well, every NAMM is very similar, the sound that it makes on the floor.
Or the middle section of A Day in the Life when the whole orchestra goes.
Yeah.
All we need at the end of the NAMM show, we should have one big chord that resonates, just like the Beatles album.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Could be how they close the show down on Saturday night.
Instead of somebody hitting the bell at Wall Street, have it be the piano chord. Have a Steinway come up and some guest keyboard.
Who gets to play that piano?
Yeah, I know. It would be like who gets to ring the bell or hit the gavel or whatever.
Well, I mean, all four Beatles hit the chord in A Day in the Life, so I think just set up like 20 of the pianos throughout the halls, and that should take care of it. It can't be just one.
But it'd be hard to get everybody synchronized on
I
that.
bet there's some pianos and keyboards here, though. You could set something up.
I think it's all been sampled. I don't think there's any real ones left, is there? No.
Probably not. You were saying last time you were here, you guys played together a little bit in the Ernie Ball booth, celebrating an anniversary, if I remember correctly. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that was wonderful. I enjoyed playing with Paul so much because not only is he amazing guitar player, but he's got this depth of soul for music. The experience you get from decade after decade after decade of playing, and he commits himself to the tune, whatever tune it is. He said, "This is where my focus is. Make this tune great." And I love that. I love the commitment, and I love the focus. He's focusing outside of himself. To where this is what we're going to do for the audience.
I had the best seat in the house because I'm right next to you, Steve, the legendary Steve Morse, while you are, just in the middle of, you're fighting the bear, which is what improvisation is. To me, improvisation is fighting a bear. Sometimes the bear, takes a swipe at you and knocks you over, but you always get back up. You keep fighting the bear. And a great musician, which you are, you end up making friends with the bear. And anyway, I'm taking this metaphor way too far. But whatever it was that you did, which was great, I got to be closer than anybody in the whole audience, and I got to sit there and dig it. And so thank you for that.
Well,
I loved every second of that. That was great.
He said it better, but I was going to say something like that
I was
about him.
He was going to follow you.
Yeah, my metaphor, like it took off gloriously and then it crashed. But hopefully you remember the peak of the metaphor.
You played it better and you said it better. So all right, he's the man though. But anyway, it's wonderful. I love being around people that know so much about what they're doing and are masters at it. You've heard the cliche about the 10,000 hours. In this case, I know I got a lot more than 10,000 hours. I think Paul probably does, is that there's, I don't know, it's wonderful to share that we're human beings and we make it different. Each time we play, when we do solo, when we actually solo, as opposed to here's my here's my part. I'm going to play it the same. You know, we're
We're in the moment.
yeah, exactly.
And that's a lot of times, like, at least from my background, being a heavy metal, you know, the heavy metal, my heavy metal version of me from the past, you get the structure perfect and you rehearse it forever, and then you bring that out, and there's some good things about it. But to have the thing where you're in the moment and it can change or go anywhere, not just between us, but between what we're feeling from the audience
And the sound.
yeah, and if something does go wrong, that's part of the story. You know, because you have to save it. You have to dive for the ball. You know, and it's that becomes such a good story. It's an interesting story. And it's so human. And as much as I love AI as a therapist and a collaborator in working out ideas, you know, human beings, there's something to it. I think we're all right.
Yeah. So you guys have been part of the Ernie Ball Music Man family for a long, long time now. Tell us a little bit about what makes it such a special company, such special people behind the brand that gets you sticking with them.
Well, first of all, as a family, I originally, back in the early 80s, that's 1980s, not 1880s. So it's seriously, my kid asked me when he was young if they had dinosaurs when I was young. Anyway, he did. And I was actually playing it at not a competitor string company, but playing at a Lexicon booth, and my volume pedal crapped out. And I went up to Ernie Ball and said, "Hey, look, I know you guys make some volume pedals. Could I borrow one to get through this demo?" And they were super nice, and they're all joking with their dad, and they're Ernie Ball, you know, and all his sons are there working the show, and they're they're joking and making fun of each other and slapping each other on the back, and just this wonderful vibe. Anyway, it grew from there. I'd been buying the strings at the music store, you know, since I talked to Jimmy Page when I was 15 years old during their tour that they debuted Stairway to Heaven, which he said might be a song that they play in music stores. I said, no way. Anyway, he said that he used Ernie Ball Super Slinkies. And to me, that was like, well, I want to play like Jimmy Page, so I'm going to use Ernie Ball Super Slinkies. That was my first endorsement reaction.
The ultimate endorsement.
Yeah. It was in the late 60s, I think. So it's been that long. 1960s.
What about for you, Paul?
Well, I've been using the strings for longer than I can remember, and they're amazing strings. They're all in terms of the gear, they're always searching for new things. You know, it's a company that has an imagination and is always trying to grow with new ideas. But as you said, Steve, like they're awesome people, and I've got more stories than we have time for about Sterling. But the one I'm going to share was really of significant importance to my quality of life, which is Sterling wrote me an email one day, and he said, "Paul, I've heard you have hearing loss." He said, "I just got hearing aids, and they changed my life. You've got to do it." When Sterling Ball tells you you've got to do something, he was one of the beautiful combination of being a forceful person, but also a really kind person and really warm. And so as he was forcing you to do whatever it was that he thought you should do, you never felt anything but gratitude, and that you were been given this push in a good direction. So he said, "You got to go to my audiologist. It's Frank Sinatra's audiologist." So I went there, I got set up, and I've been hearing better ever since. So thank you, Sterling. I can now, when I bend those Ernie Ball strings, I can hear them much better.
Nice. So
He's got great hearing. Sorry. We were jamming, and he is playing along, and in a split second, he puts on the slide and plays the similar phrase on the slide in perfect tune, then puts it back and goes back to his fingers. So,
well, I can hear notes. It's just human speech is rough sometimes.
I know.
That's why you can't shut me up, because if I stop talking, then somebody else will, and I can't hear it.
Actually, I mean, ear-wise, it is weird how things change when you get older. I mean, I know I look like I'm in my 20s, but I'm in my teens. No, when you're in your 70s and things start going wrong. But long ago, I lost all my hearing in my right side from an infection, and they couldn't save it with surgeries and everything. And so my brain, to replace that sound, put a bunch of noise, screeching noise. So I have that as my constant companion. And music is less fun to listen to. However, what we just did, playing together and having that human element and concentrating on the music, making the music, it took me away from that. Like if I was to listen to a nice, quiet classical music record or something, I couldn't hear the quiet parts. I hear there's noise. And I have to listen to everything in mono. So this brings the fun back into music, is when I can enjoy performing and being around great players and seeing them react and be in the same boat.
Yeah, and you can viscerally feel it.
Yeah.
More than just hear it. You can feel the energy and all that. Yeah. So, an interesting thing you talked about, as you've gotten older as players, how does that change how you approach your playing? It might be some simple as I'm changing my string gauge because it's a little easier to get those bends now. Or is there anything that's really significantly changed for you in that regard?
I could go on and on.
Sevens.
Yeah.
Ernie Ball makes a set of sevens. I put a heavier low string on. I put like a 40 on the bottom, just so if I want to do something chunky, it's not a complete rubber band. But all the other ones are really, as slinky as they make them. I love it. I love it. And as I get my calluses get thicker on the tour, then I'll go up to an 8 or an 8.5. But that's the other thing. Like Ernie Ball has the half gauges.
Yeah.
And those are cool because a lot of times, we're kind of like the Princess and the Pea. When I say we, guitar players, we're aware of these small differences, and so the difference between a 9 and 8.5 is really perceptible. We can tell. And for example, if you go from a Gibson scale to a Strat scale, that's slightly difference to be able to compensate that, so you're not you get rid of that extra struggle and it's back to your comfort zone. Those half gauges are great for that. So that was one. I use 8.5s all the time, and then if I took a little break because I had a month-long cold and I couldn't do anything, so that's why I'm on 7s at the moment, kind of getting myself back in gear. But the 8.5s are in my future. I'm going to make it back. Here I come, 8.5s. Look out!
Yeah, and but we're both in standard tuning normally, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in my younger days I used the 10s, and now it's the 9s and to 9.5, depending on really whether I can find the 9.5s. Because if I'm in my
know a guy.
Yeah.
No, in our road stuff,
Yeah.
And I forget to put it in my guitar case. So whatever Ernie Ball strings I got in my guitar case is what goes on when I decide I have to change strings. But the good thing about the strings I use is that I don't have to change them very often. I mean, I know my son plays and he changes his strings all the time, but and there's a lot of people who are real religious about it. They'll play 2 songs on a guitar and then they'll have the roadie change the strings, their tech. And to me, I mean, I can go really long time playing every song on my one guitar and not break a string.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you had a great return to NAMM. Sounds like you did.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone appreciated getting to meet you when you did your signing a little while ago. And just want to thank you for your time today. We'll talk about that discount in the near future.
We have some 6L6s in stock.
Yeah. We could talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we could talk. So
You should get those blue guitars in stock. Guitars. Oh.
I hear you. We'll send it to our guitar buyers. We'll let them know. Well, thank you so much, guys, and really, really appreciate your time. Stay tuned to Guitar Center's YouTube channel for all the latest new from NAMM. Check out all the new gear at guitarcenter.com.